Every season had the same script. The Klein Jets, wreck shop all year. Win after win after win after win. Parents talking dynasty in the bleachers. Me and my friends walking into school in jerseys like tiny gladiators. Then the peewee Super Bowl hits and the Spring Raiders show up. And suddenly, it doesn't matter what happened in September, October, and November. We're back on the field, staring at the same helmets, the same colors, and the same sick feeling in our stomachs. 4 seasons, same ending. This is your mic. My name is Freddy Cruz, and today is not a motivational poster. Today is about the sick, ugly truth. You can do almost everything right and still lose when it counts. And that has to be okay, or you're not built for this. Now, if you can picture this, me as a Klein Jets player, sweating through August practices, and if you know anything about August in the Houston area, it is hell on earth, quite literally. We're learning the plays, running the drills, listening to coaches, getting hit, dropping and giving Coach Temez 25 push-ups. It worked. Week after week, we dominated. As impressionable young boys, we started to believe this is just how the world works. You show up, you work hard, you execute, and you win. And not only do you win, you literally kick everybody's ass. Then the Raiders walk in and the gridiron gods declare, "Not today, boys. Not today." And here's why this matters for your podcast. Most of the content shoved in your face will say this: hustle hard enough and you'll always win. Prepare enough and you'll never fail. Control every variable and the outcome is guaranteed. That's cute. It's also a lie. You can do all the research. You can write the perfect questions. You can confirm with your guests 3 times that they'll be on. You can test your mic, test your internet, test your backup, and then internet goes out. Guest gets sick 10 minutes before you're supposed to start the interview, or worse, you record everything and you just choke. You talk too much. You forget the follow-up that would have cracked them open. You fumble the hook. The Spring Raiders of podcasting win again. So what do you do with that? When you're 10, standing on a field with confetti falling for the other team for the 4th year in a row, you learn a brutal math. Effort does not equal guarantee. Preparation does not equal entitlement. And yet my friends and I went back for more, season after season after season. Nobody sat you down at that age and said, "Listen, King, if you visualize hard enough, you'll never lose." After all, this was in the 80s, okay? It was more like, get your ass up, give me 5 laps around the field, and don't you dare stop. You did not keep playing because you were guaranteed a trophy. Those were cool. You kept playing because you were a football player. See the difference? In podcasting, most people secretly believe they are owed wins. I put in the hours. Why isn't this show bigger? I prepped so hard for that interview. Why did it flop? I released weekly for a year. Why didn't the charts kiss my ring? That last one? That's kind of sort of me talking to me. I worked in terrestrial radio for more than 25 years. And let me tell you, when I launched my first show, Freddy's Huge Ask podcast, I had less than 800 downloads over the span of about 10 months. And that was a serious gut punch coming from a guy who worked for a Marconi award-winning radio station with 1 million weekly listeners. It hurt. But there's a Spring Raiders built into every meaningful game, because every meaningful pursuit has some combination of bad timing, structural disadvantage, stronger competitors, and the unrelenting cruelty of the real world. And if you want to mitigate the impact of all that is uncontrollable, download the official Speke podcasting roadmap for essential tips, tricks, and tools that'll help you level up your podcast. It's free for you. SpekePodcasting.com/free resources. That is SPEKE podcasting.com/ free resources. Now, any football coach will tell you you can have a great culture and development and still lose championships. And you can have a terrible culture and fluke your way to a trophy if the talent lines up. Same with podcasts. So, what are your choices? Option A, you only play if you're guaranteed to win. Or option B, you play because playing is who you are. You're built for the journey. Let's break this down for your show because this can't just be therapy, all right? There's spring raiders that you can absolutely positively never control. Your podcast hosting site goes down for no reason. That's happened to me. Your guest's PR pulls them 24 hours before your interview. That's happened to me. Your internet dies mid-interview and the recording is corrupted. Been there, done that. And I've got more than a few shirts, all right? But there are systems you can control. And losing those games should force you to get ruthless. Your peewee football version is that maybe you keep losing in the fourth quarter. Conditioning becomes non-negotiable. You keep getting burned on the same play. You change your scheme. The podcast version is you keep getting wrecked by cancellations. Stay 6 to 8 episodes ahead so one flake out doesn't kill your entire feed. Maybe you keep getting crushed by power outages. You think about backup batteries, mobile recorders, or you adjust your recording schedule. Maybe you rent a podcast studio. You keep blowing interviews because nerves spike. You practice solo. You rehearse your first 5 minutes. You stack reps in lower stakes conversations. You lay off the caffeine right before an interview. Trust me, that last one does work. But even with all that, sometimes you still lose the big one. You're going to have an episode you swore would explode and it lands like a wet sock. Been there, done that. You'll have a dream guest who turns out to be boring on the mic. Been there, done that. You're going to have a season where you pour more heart into the show than ever and the numbers barely move. That was the second season of Cruise Through HTX, my other podcast. And that is your Pee-wee Super Bowl. The question is not, how do I prevent this again? The real question is, who am I now that this has happened? Are you a podcaster only when your show is quote unquote winning? Or are you a podcaster like I was, a 10-year-old peewee football player because that was what your body did on Saturdays? Here's something you probably haven't done. You certainly have not named your Spring Raiders. In podcasting terms, that's going to be a type of episode that always underperforms, but you keep making it because you love it. It could be a recurring tech problem because you're an entrepreneur. You got better things to do than to figure out podcasting tech, so you just hope that the problem goes away. Maybe it's a blind spot, like asking weak follow-ups that cost you every time the stakes are high. Name the problem, then decide, am I going to adjust my game plan around this? Am I going to train to beat it? Or am I going to accept that sometimes in this matchup I might still lose and that's okay? Because here's the hidden win from those peewee years. You learn to separate preparation from control. You prepare because it's your job. You control what you can because you're not a victim. But you do not confuse that with a cosmic contract that says, if I do all this, you owe me a win.
Okay.
So here's your challenge. Write down your last 3 proverbial Super Bowl losses as a host. Interviews that went sideways, episodes that tanked, opportunities that fell apart. For each one of those losses, ask yourself, what was my Spring Raiders here? What could I actually control? What was just the game being the game? Build one new system. Batch your episodes, backup power or recording plan. Yes, that includes renting a studio. Maybe it's a pre-interview checklist. And then emotionally, you do the hardest thing. You accept that you can do almost everything right and still lose. And you hit record anyway. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know this. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship. And podcasting is essentially an extension of your brand. It's another business. And that real flex is not being undefeated. You know this. Sometimes you like the L's because it teaches you more. The real flex is suiting up every season, even when you know the spring Raiders might be waiting for you at the Super Bowl. Hey, look, if you got any use from this, please consider sharing with the podcast host in your life who needs to hear it. And don't forget to grab the Speke Podcasting Roadmap at speakpodcasting.com/free resources. That is Speke, SPEKE, podcasting.com/free resources.